Hello and welcome to another episode of South Pacific Muscle. Mike and myself, as usual, though it's been a while between drinks, and we've got Darren. Come on, Darren, how's life in the Manawatu treating you?
Yeah, good man. Sitting here eating food all day, pretty much. But yeah, it's been real good. How you guys?
All good here, all good here. Just one very busy man at the moment, doing a lot of things outside of bodybuilding, but I can touch on some of that later, maybe.
Yeah, I was hoping to get you on for a post bodybuilding podcast. You know, downsizing off the island for MMA, buying a house. You know, there's plenty going on in your life. None of it bodybuilding, which is quite interesting.
Yeah, man, it's a weird one. Like 30 years of trying to get bigger every day and trying to get stronger, and now training in the gym going, I'm actually trying to get smaller and lose muscle. And it's kind of cool though, because jumping into the old cardio and never having done high intensity cardio, you make gains very, very quickly. So it's quite rewarding in that respect. And you get a lot of endorphins from that high intensity cardio, which I've never really experienced. So, what happened there? Something happened there.
Yeah, I just thought I'd show what downsizing looks like.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Downsizing. No.
There you go. So this is what downsizing looks like. Apparently, could still probably step on stage, right? So
that's 6.5 kilos. 6.5 kilos down, man. Yep. So I've dropped 6.5 kilos. My body comp is perhaps a little bit leaner, not much. So I've definitely dropped some muscle. I notice it on some of the big movements, and I'm just not pushing that hard. But that said, my body feels really good, and my skateboard and my surfboard are waiting, man. So I'm going to get out and do a few more things like that. And I ran on the beach yesterday. Went for a run along the beach and went, I can kind of run. kind of still need a bra. The pecs are bouncing a bit, but no, a lot of fun anyway, man. So that's me enjoying that. But I really want to hear still about how you guys are sitting now that you've come into a pretty good sort of a period for an off season, and it was a long season last year prepping. So I want to hear about how life is on the bulk and where we're sitting. So Darren, do you want to sort of give us a bit of an update as to where you were from Nationals last year?
Yeah, so after Nationals, obviously the week after Christmas. So the plan was originally to give my body kind of 4 to 5 weeks, 6 weeks, because I was pretty beaten up, like you said, long prep all last year. But after Christmas and stuff, it came back and I was kind of weighing around the same. I hadn't really put on any body fat. I think I just kind of underate, really, not having. It was the first time all year I didn't have to eat 6 meals a day, so it was kind of enjoyed that for a week. And then after New Year's, sent some photos to Connor, and he's like, "Well, you're not looking any different." So we just kind of decided to cut the break a bit shorter and get into it. And weight's just been slowly climbing up ever since then. Calories going up, week to week. To been really strict. It's just been an extension of what was a really good last 6 weeks going into Nationals. With prep. It's just been an extension of that. Same kind of food choices, just more amounts of it. Picking foods that I can digest really well. Because the amount of calories I'm eating, I don't want to be backed up or anything.
Did I read that you're up to 6,500 calories a day?
I think he undershot me there a little bit, to be honest. I think it's more closer to 7, I think. And plus, with the 3 regular cheats on top of that a week, which I honestly, I don't even enjoy anymore. It comes down to when it's what do I want to eat? And it's just, again, picking the thing that I'm going to digest the fastest. But yeah, it's been a chore, but I've never been able to get this kind of food down, and it kind of feels almost normal. Now I've been over 110 for about 6 weeks straight now. So I've never been this weight for this long. Usually you get there for the end of the off season, where it's getting a bit sloppy and you're replacing every other meal for a cheat because, but this has been really structured, and hopefully it pays off when we come down, and underneath some of that hair and water and stuff, there's a bit of muscle put on.
Yeah.
So there's some good thickness and fullness, 112 kilos.
What's the cutoff for you for classic?
So it's 98 kilos, but I've been heighted at 2 different heights the only 2 times that they've actually made me do it. So I don't know, it could be 101 kilos, but I mean, we're going to be pushing it, hopefully, if everything goes right, for that 98 again. I was about 96 at nationals, but obviously without the fear of not making weight, we could carb load a bit heavier going into nationals. So we'll be kind of depleting into the show a bit more this time with that weight cap in mind. And then hopefully in that one day was all we'll really have to fill out properly.
So does it be a 181 or so? Centimeters tall?
Sorry, what was that?
You about 181 centimeters?
Yeah, 181. I'm in between 179 and 183. I don't know, like at the moment I'm 180, but they always seem to find me differently. But and like at nationals last year,
don't you think they should just give you one measurement and you get certified at that measurement and that's it? Then you can worry about, you know, what weight you've got to come in, rather than shit. If I measure tall today or if I measure short, could be 2 different figures, 3 kilos apart, right?
Yep.
Yeah, and it's also like you know, you don't even rock up to the registration knowing if you're really going to get heighted or not. So it's, you know, it's whatever you wrote down on your registration form. So, you know, I might just chuck down that 181 centimeters and take that 3 kilos, and that way I get to avoid Chrissy in Class B again.
Did they put you in with me in Class D?
Yeah, I get to come and hang out with you, bro.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd pay to see that one, Mike.
Finally, my height was good. You know, normally being tall has been the worst thing for bodybuilding. You know, I just can't seem to get the thickness and size. But there weren't so many people in Class D, so it kind of played in my favour for once.
Yeah, even that 4 classes at nationals, like I hadn't experienced that before. Us being like that, Class B kind of gets split into 2 classes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess you kind of need some consistency around what's available. And I guess that class is evolving, but you know, if you're having different classes at a regional versus at the nationals, you may have a different strategy coming into that show based on that, right?
Well, I get that if you've got lower numbers, you don't want to have, you know, 4 classes with 2 people in each, you know. So I get where they're going.
Yeah, I mean the ideas sound from a production point of view and from someone running a show, but if you're coming in and you've got a game plan, you know, factoring in 4 height classes, and suddenly you get lumped in with someone that you weren't factoring in, you know, whether you come in fuller or come in smaller based on, might be a little bit tricky.
Too strategic for me, man. I'm about 7 kilos under my weight cap, so I'm pretty sweet. I just come in as big and hard and dry as I can.
Yeah. Hey, look, Mike, I know you've got some questions for Darren about the off season because you know, you're pretty early into your off season, right?
Me personally?
Yeah.
Oh, well, off season started as soon as the nationals finished, didn't it? So I'm it's not really about me. I'm dealing with injuries, I'm lifting, I'm eating, I'm growing, I'm trying to present a better package, trying to work on my weak points like everybody always does. But if anybody's interested, we might do a you and me podcast where we can talk about my training, because, man, I'll talk your ear off. I'll be here all night talking about training. I love it. But we're here to fight about Darren and what he's been up to. So
yeah, we'll need a couch for that one, Mike. You can, you know, lie on the couch, tell me your problems, son.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, so no, Mike, I know you had some questions for Darren, though, specifically around his approach to the off season this year.
Yeah, look, it wasn't really specific questions as such. I love hearing about training. I love hearing about the X's and O's, and I know you're very prescriptive in what you do. I really enjoyed chatting to you after Tournament of Champions and sort of seeing how similar our approaches are. But I also know that you're very prescriptive in what you do. And if I say, you know, how many calories you're taking 6 weeks ago, you'd know exactly, you know, how many times you're training, how many calories you're expending, how many calories you're burning, and all that sort of thing. So I find that side of it pretty fascinating. So I really just wanted to get you on and have a bit of a chat about basically how you've approached things, what phases you've gone through, you know, how you've tried to sort of push food or weights, or how your training's adapted or evolved, and sort of what your goals are with respect to your physique for, you know, coming into prep and through the prep.
Yeah, so like straight after nationals, Connor and I were outside and Mo ran out, and he basically told me that I needed to, that my upper body had obviously improved last year, but my legs now needed to come up to balance that. So you can imagine every leg day that same message has been burning in my head since then. So the operation was basically get more quads, keeping them full around show day will be another thing we have to do later down the line, but I'm happy with the improvements we've made there so far. Yeah, more leg all round really. Like the training, I train twice a week with Connor, and I usually try and make the leg days out of his gym at his place. He's really stacked it out for like really effective leg training, especially with like the sort, you know, when you've got injuries like we do, Mike. It's good to have lots of like equipment to change things up around. Yeah, this was in the weekend at Hastings with Aiden. Of course, like I only got 5 here and Aiden got 8. So the protege beating the master.
He's strong though, man.
There's a lot of plates. Did you have room for them all?
Yeah, no, it's my first time actually using that Arsenal hack, but like I just during the warm-up set.
I've spent a lot of time on that one, bro. Give me your honest opinion of the Arsenal hack.
I think we could probably make it harder by changing that foot position. Let's be honest. But you know, we watched Ian and Chris Bumstead. That was the warm-up video that we were watching before, and we saw them do I think 8 plates on it. Well, Chris did 8 on with the same foot position. So we're like, well, that was the goal going in. But yeah, it's all good, bro. I think obviously, like I think Connor has a Cybex kind of old school one at his place, and Aiden and I only got 4 plates on that the week before. So I think that's a lot easier than some hacks I've used. And obviously I've got the Arsenal pendulum at Flex here in Palmy, and I mean that's harder than anything. Like like you walk up to that machine and you really just want to go and do anything else. It's one of those ones.
Yeah, man, that Arsenal is you know, it's a completely useful piece of kit for doing hacks. Is it the best hack I've ever been on? Not by a long shot. Is it the worst? Absolutely not. But it's kind of, I find it a sort of a, you know, I'm not breaking my neck to get in and use that hack squat. Whereas, you know, some of the old school Polaris ones, fuck, if I see one, I'm there. That's all I want to do. But it's not a bad piece of kit. It's pretty solid, like most of their stuff, horrifically over-engineered. But you know, it's a solid piece of kit, and it's good seeing.
What did you think of the leg press?
Not a big fan.
No, that didn't feel too fresh either.
No. I mean, still, you know, better than you'll find in most gyms. But you know, I guess when you've spent 30 years using different leg presses and hack squats and that, you kind of get your favorites, and you know, it's hard to beat those. Yeah. So okay, so
have you seen?
Sorry,
did you see the on Fuad and you know, in Fuad and Justin and that were training together the other day?
Was that
that old
Texas one?
Yeah, the leg press they were using at the end there. That's pretty much the one we have at Flex, a real old school, like I think it must be Cybex, you know, like pendulum leg press almost, where it's coming down on you. Like I was watching them do that, and I was like, oh shit, that's the easiest, nicest feeling leg press in the world. That one, you can load that thing up with like 15 plates and take it straight down, and it feels like butter.
Nice. Yeah. Anyway, it's good to see some of those that, you know, like brands like that becoming more common in commercial gyms. So I'm kind of enjoying that.
Well, I'm just excited for the delivery of the entire gym load of Cybex Hammer Strength gear that's coming to my gym in probably 2 to 3 months' time. I'll be like a kid in a candy shop.
We need a video, bro. We need a video, like a fly. You know how you did the fly?
I should get a copy of that. You can check it up on the page.
Yeah, man. But
I walk through with a GoPro.
And an old friend of yours might be joining up there this week, Mike. Mr. LaHood is so he's back in the gym, and he said, "Oh, I'm thinking of going to Olympic and Moscow," and I went, or Sky Fitness. You know, he's got 2 great options here. You know.
Yeah.
So,
Right. So back to Darren's off season.
Darren. Yep.
Yeah, so legs and obviously arms have always been a work on for me, but I think we've made improvements in those 2 places. I think my back's got a little bit thicker as well. I'm a bit worried that my waist has got a little bit bigger, because it's something that I was really micro focused on most of my bodybuilding career because I don't have the best abs. So having a smaller waist is something I have to have if I'm going to do classic. But you know, when you start eating this much food, it's probably, you know, you start dieting 2 weeks away and the waist will come down. So other than that, no, really happy with everything's going. And every session I have at Connor's house, like he demands intensity, like training is his thing, you know. So it's like if I put myself into that situation, going to do those sessions there, I know I'm going to get really effective sessions. And the weights have been going up week to week. I've been PBing on pretty much everything. Just starting to get a little bit like niggly and stuff on the push training and stuff like that. But luckily, shoulders are probably my best body part. So we're just cutting the volume back there and starting to, you know, my legs are still holding up well. So adding it where it needs to go.
Yeah, that you kind of always get that in the off season when you're getting towards that biggest and strongest point that you're going to reach each year. You're kind of held together with bloody deep heat and elbow sleeves and you know, trying to keep loading down the turmeric and stuff, trying to keep the inflammation low. So is that about where you're at the moment?
Yeah, like it's just my hips and my elbows really. Like I know if I have a couple of days off, by that day I go back and train, I'll have a really good session. It's just like when, you know, when you're around guys like Aiden and stuff in the weekend and just want to, you know, push it a little bit harder, probably just feeling a bit beat up from the weekend, but yeah, have a couple of rest days and get back into it. Hopefully 3 more weeks probably, and then we'll get into prep. But yeah, pretty much most of the time we just manipulated food, using the higher days on obviously days that I was training legs, using the off meals on the days I was training legs, trying to push all the food around there, going really high on my intra-workout nutrition now. So been doing 60 carbs pre, 60 intra, and 80 post, and it's just keeping my blood sugars really stable throughout training. So that's been really good. Obviously, if my blood sugars are stable while I'm training, then the nutrients are getting delivered optimally. So outside of that, supplementation, you know, just pushed a little bit where it needed to go, just doing one thing, not really doing, especially with everything that's been going on. Like this year, I've taken the simplest approach to supplements I ever have, and I've made the most progress. Really keeping in mind on digestion, sleep, all that stuff that you hear everyone saying you think when you're younger doesn't really do anything. Finding that stuff and getting time for it as well with all the other stuff. At the moment, setting an alarm to get that last meal in at the moment, which is, it's not a bad meal. It's just, but it's, you know, getting that much food in during the day when you're working with clients and stuff, and then the online stuff when you get home. It just, yeah, it's pretty hard.
Do you want to just for you know, viewers' sake, you know, you talk about a high day in the middle of your bulk or towards the tail end of your bulk. What does that actually look like? If you talk us through your meals, just briefly, what does a day look like on that high day?
Okay, so meal 1 will be 6 eggs and 100 grams of carbs from bread. So it's probably usually like 6 pieces. And then 50 grams of avocado. Meal 2 would be oats. So that would be like 100 grams of oats, banana, 50 grams of berries, and a scoop of protein powder. So that's my smallest ones. Meal 3 and 4 are 150 gram raw weight rice and 200 gram raw weight chicken, 15 grams of macadamia nut oil, and some veggies usually, depending on how hungry I am. Then meal 5, sorry, is usually a red meat or a salmon, kind of like a fattier meat, and 500 grams of potatoes or the equivalent carbs in Kuma, 100 carbs. And then meal 6 is again 100 grams of oats, the bananas, the berries, the peanut butter, and a scoop of protein powder. And then the last meal at the moment is just rice flakes or cream of rice. That's the one at 1 a.m. or whatever, and egg whites. And yeah, just drink those egg whites in the middle of the night and then go to bed.
The thing that got me there was there's a fair bit of fats that you've intentionally added into that. And I know for me, fats really, you know, cut my appetite right back, my satiety very high on a higher fat intake like that. How are you getting through those meals? Are you getting to the next meal and actually feeling like eating it, or are you at that point now that you're like, it's another meal, I've got to get this down?
It's been so gradual, you know, because it was just prep meals, right? And then we had added the carbs until we felt we had exhausted the carbs per meal that we wanted to put in those meals. And then it became, added fats, slightly added, just, throughout the off season, it's been, 5 grams added here, 5 grams added here, till it's accumulated to what it is now. And it's because it's been the same food source and I'm training myself to eat the same foods. I don't really notice the difference in the fats or the carbs because they've been such gradual increments. And because I've been so strict to sticking to it, like I haven't really put on too much body fat and I've managed to get my calories up super high that I feel like when I start prep, I will be able to still eat quite a lot of food and going to have to continue to eat like a lot of food to maintain the muscle I've put on. So my whole idea was putting myself in a position where I can maintain fullness in the size I put on throughout the whole prep. So I think getting my calories as high means I'm going to be able to do that while I'm prepping. And, I shouldn't at my size end up ever dieting on no carbs and all that sort of stuff that it tends to happen at the end of preps that I put myself through thinking it's going to help. So yeah, it's just trying to play the long game really.
Yeah. You definitely you set yourself a very good base, where you're operating at, even when you do a month into your prep and you've cut significantly over that period, there's still a lot of food going in there and probably more than what most people would be bulking on at this point. So yeah, that's always good fun when you get to rip into a prep and you've still got food,
Yeah, that being
I think it's
sorry,
I think the best thing about it is the best thing about it is being able to show, obviously, as a coach myself, is being able to show people that you can eat lots of food and still get into shape, because especially with with female clients and stuff, even male clients, they see a caloric thing around above 2,500 calories and they start freaking out. And I think it might not be like that where you guys are, but it is a lot down here, and it's cool to see, like, especially with some of the clients and stuff, with like this rubbing off on other people, like you can still eat a lot of food and you can get into great shape. And I've got guys doing that ICN natural show in Taupo in 6 weeks that the whole prep, their calories have been going up the whole time, and every single week they look leaner and leaner and leaner. And he keeps asking me every week, hey bro, like when do we start the cut or whatever? And I'm like, bro, you are like stage ready already. If I drop any food, you're gonna fall apart. But it's cool, and it's I think a lot of people think that you just have to go down the whole time, but like if you're going to start a prep, you should give yourself the time before the prep to get your food up high enough to mean that your prep is going to be safe enough to do so. Like nobody should end up doing the stuff that some of us have to do to get into shape.
Yeah, I'm a high carb guy. I keep mine pretty high, and I know when we were both prepping, Nate was down to whatever you were at, below 50 grams a day for day after day after day, and I felt like garbage at 200 grams of carbs a day. There's tons of food. And I'm kind of compared to the 400 or 500 grams I'm normally having, it's pretty low, and I felt tired and I felt run down. So just because you're still eating, for you 4,000 or 5,000 calories, because it's now a deficit, you'll feel tired, you'll feel run down just like everybody else. It's just you'll still be cranking through enough nutrients to maintain the muscle.
It's just more annoying now. I've still got to cook all the food and feel just as hungry.
Expensive, mate.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Don't even. That's the main thing I'm looking forward to. So, personal shopping bill is around $400 a week at the moment, and that's doing everything like properly. I think I wrote a list of like the amounts of foods per week, and it's crazy. I'm going through like 4.5 packets of sushi rice a week or something.
Wow. Unreal what you can spend. Like I was spending 300 a week, and I thought that was expensive, and you're at 400. Mike, any idea what your food bill personally is?
Nah, I try not to think about it. It was sort of a kilo of chicken every 2 days. It was a litre of egg whites every sort of 3 or 4 days. It's actually that's one of the reasons why bumping up the carbs is a good idea. Carbs are cheap, and once you've got your protein requirements, I did watch some podcasts about guys who've gone super high protein, sort of 3 grams per pound, that sort of thing, and they feel like it really does change their physique. But man, that's expensive. You just bump the carbs up and you get more calories in. So as long as you're getting enough protein for muscle growth. So
yeah, that seems a bit excessive, but hey, again, if it works for you, right, it works.
Oh, this is sort of overseas guys, pros, that sort of thing. Oh, you made a difference going from, a gram per pound to 2.5 grams per pound. I don't know. Not me. Can't afford it.
Yeah, I don't know. I like to, if I have any more than say like 250 grams raw weight of meat, I start getting indigestion and acid reflux and all that sort of stuff. So, and then I did it for ages. Like one of my first off seasons with Alma, I think I was on like 400 grams of protein or something, and I started getting like lower back kind of pain, and I started worrying it was about my kidneys and stuff. So yeah, I reckon I feel good on like 300 from direct sources, then whatever comes on top of that from the carbs and all that, it just seems to work best for me, like 50 grams per meal.
Yeah, mine would be fairly similar. Right, I'll just bring up the old, there's a couple other Instagrams, they're relatively recent, but just for you to kind of quickly talk about before we wrap up. So pretty impressive, the progress you've made, 12 months, you say. Listen, you guys can see it now?
Yeah, mate.
Yeah, that was TOC 2020 and then Nationals 2021, yeah.
Yeah, impressive, eh?
Yeah, it was like, obviously, it looks a lot more than this, because on the left I was severely dehydrated and well over dieted, and then on the right I'm full as I could probably be for that show. So like it is actually crazy. It's 15 kilos between those two photos.
Whoops.
Yeah.
So what am I doing there? So yeah, just that was from Nationals from last year, and then here's from beginning to end, you're posing.
Yeah, so that was at NABA headquarters there on the left in 2015, and that was the day before Nationals, which is probably my favorite photo from that prep. See, that's before we started loading the carbs a bit heavier on that Friday, and I don't know, it wouldn't have changed the result coming out looking like that, but like that's the look I prefer. I don't like the round full look. I like that drawn out. Like my waist is a lot smaller. The X frame is a bit better if my legs are a bit more balanced.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, it's just that as I was sort of scrolling through, doing a bit of a stalk, and then I was just super impressed with the consistent year-on-year progress you've made, and yet, even what are we now 6 years in, you're still making really good progress in your off seasons. And I gather, well, I'd imagine that's largely due to the very meticulous approach you take to it. I mean, good guidance in Connor, but you're doing the work. You're very meticulous about everything you do. So that's the way to keep making progress at your stage.
I think Connor and I complement each other well, because obviously we both live in the same area and we're both very passionate about bodybuilding. And when we started working together this time, the first thing we said to each other is like, we want to push each other to beat each other. And it's just created like a less competitive environment, which sounds contradicting to what I just said, but because like, I think the first time around, we're both kind of fresh in that and both getting into coaching and both, competing together is a bit more competitive, whereas now it's like, every training session it's like pushing each other, and it's like mates hanging out, and we're both very similar in the way we coach and the way we think about things. So it's really easy just to bounce ideas off each other, both for each other's physiques. And he's also very black and white, so I know like I have to, like Connor demands, like these photos have to be there at this time every single week. So every single Sunday it's been the same thing. So I've posed more throughout this off season than I have in every other off season. The routine's been exactly the same. I go out to the garage, there's a treadmill out there, the cardio, we've got like a whole posing thing with lights and that set up, which is actually pretty good lighting for once, and do all that, send the photos to Connor, and then assess what we're going to do for the week again, and just keep on repeat. I think obviously like the main progress I made was between 2016 and 17. And then I kind of stalled a lot because the main problem I was having is I was never able to nail my peak. And so I keep thinking I was making a whole lot of progress. And then in the last couple of weeks, I'd end up looking exactly the same or worse. So I think it's just, you have to go through it and fail. And that's why it's the amount of shows I've done now, I've failed enough times to have learned kind of how my body works a bit better. Yeah. And so now in the off season and stuff, I've learned the way that I can make progress training. Like I did a lot of high volume stuff when I was younger and just tried to kill myself in the gym, whereas now it's a lot more like the volume's manipulated around where I need it. The food's manipulated around where I need it. Supplementation's manipulated around where I need it. It's not just all everything at once as hard as you can all the time. So I think that works better for me. And my sessions in the gym now are like 45 minutes to an hour, except legs, but they used to take 2 to 3 hours. So, and I made more progress doing that. And I don't know, I think you've just got to keep trying heaps of different things and succeed at some of them, find out what works, and then fail a whole lot more times and learn more from that. And then eventually you kind of get some kind of routine that works for you and can kind of replicate that. So the funny thing is, it's that when you're coaching someone, it takes so much less time for me to figure out how that person's body works. But for myself, it seems to be taking a long time.
Yeah, I think we've all found that. I think there's a little bit of subjectivity in there and a little bit of bias, etc. when you're looking at yourself, whereas when you're looking at your clients, you're very objective. I quite like the sort of message that came out of there. That was that you never lose, you only lose if you lose the lesson. And learning from your losses and your failures, and when you didn't quite get things right, if you take on board those lessons and build from those, they're sometimes the best experiences you can have. Like sometimes you need to have a shit show to realize that what you're doing is not working, and taking a fresh approach. And it's cool to see that you've had a good run working with Connor, and he's smashing you in the gym because he's relentless when he trains. So you kind of, best of both worlds, having someone so close, because very rare for bodybuilders at a reasonable level to have local coaches nowadays, because everything's online. So kind of cool that you can get in there and train at the house. So hey, if anyone is down in Palmerston North and wants to check out Connor's gym, hit him up on his Insta. There's always photos up on there, and if you have a look at those photos, there's some really good training stuff coming out of there, so that's really good to see. Hey guys, we do need to wrap this one up, so before we go, quickly flick over to Darren. You know the drill, bro. Anyone you want to shout out to, say thank you to, and then we'll sign off.
Just thanks to, like you said, to Connor and to Daryl and Kelsey at Flex, and all my clients and everyone, and looking forward to catching up with everyone at the ICN Topol show. And then might probably see what are you up to this year, mate? Mike, sorry, what shows?
Probably same as last year, South Islands. Hopefully they'll all be at the right times this year. South Islands then was the Pro and before Nationals or after? I thought I'd do both of those. They're about a week apart. And then probably, if I'm still rolling, Tournament of Champions.
Nice.
This is likely to be my last season. The surgeon wants to replace my shoulder. So I might just go for some pain management for now, see if I can sort of squeak another season out of the old body.
Can you, when you see the specialist, can you ask him for a bigger shoulder? Come on, fucking put the cap on it. When you put that in, fill it up. Right. Okay. Awesome, guys. Great catching up again, and we'll talk again very shortly. People out there, stay safe, look after each other, and have a great productive week. See ya.